me know if you can hear me okay. It's Sunday. If you're here and you want to talk about anything, you can. Basically, I just ask if you want to like and subscribe, and do that sort of stuff. If you want to like the video, just ask that at the front. The more you chat in the comments, the more useful this might be. Otherwise, I'll just be playing some jazz. But hopefully, you're all having a good weekend. And yeah, the tune I've been working on this weekend, hey Enrique, is Beautiful Love. Which is actually a Victor Young tune, and it's initially a waltz, but I was listening to some versions by other people, so like Bill Evans plays it in 4. Hey Forrest, have you tried talking to anyone at line 6 about that? I'm using the Helix right now. I think that's something that happens sometimes when there's like a USB failure or something like that, but I don't know if it's going to be like a permanent brickage type situation. Normally they're quite good about dealing with those things. So if you speak to Frank, I think his name is Frank Ricciotti or something like that, on the Helix Facebook group is quite a good way to get their attention, in my experience anyway, or what I've seen. I think they're probably one of the best companies for actually supporting people that have broken units, which is a good thing in your situation, I think. How are the levels? If it's, I think there's a way that you can do it with line 6 up data. But yeah, if you, I would go onto the Helix group and ask on there. There's a few people on there that should be able to help you. And I think they'd probably be able to get back to you fairly quickly on there with a way that you can get it working. Oh, cheers, Ron. So yeah, that's the tune that I've been working on a bit. I've not necessarily spent loads of time with it, but I'll just, I guess, play it a bit with a backing track now. If you want to talk about anything else, please feel free to just comment, whatever. And yeah, we can just talk about whatever. So Enrique says it'd be nice to talk about general build-up of patches on the stomp, EQ settings and other effects, order of effects, sorry. Hey Dave, how you doing? So my general approach is pretty simple. So I will go drives. I'm going straight into Helix, and that's all you're hearing at the moment is the Helix. What am I saying again? So I would normally have a drive at the front. Hey Sam. Then I'll go into the amp, and then I have a cab block separately sometimes, or most of the time. Sometimes I do that new EQ shelf trick between the amp and the cab. And then after the cab, I'll have a delay, and after the cab, I'll have a reverb. In terms of compressors at the end of a chain or EQ at the end of a chain, I don't really do that sort of stuff. That's just my approach to stuff. And then I would build up snapshots generally. But yeah, it's a fairly simple approach for me personally. I feel like if you're doing like loads of compressors at the end or EQ and stuff, that maybe you're not picking the cab choice that is optimal for you, or maybe you've just got fussier ears than me. I don't think I've got particularly special ears. I just like to play guitar. Yeah, Dave just got his FM3 this week. The second FM3 though, isn't it? Yeah, it's a great little unit. Right, so I'll try and play some jazz. If you want to like the video, you could. I think that would help other people find the stream. Cheers, Enrique. Hopefully Pacheco. Are you the... Wait, you've got the same name as the chap who did the Morgan AC20 Kemper profile, like way back in the day. Probably not the same, but it's probably quite a common name. Right, so I'm going to try and play along with this little backing track that I've got for Beautiful Love that I've put together. I'll put it up on my Patreon soon. Daniel also just got the FM3. Cool. What are your favourite amp models so far on there? People that have just got them. Mine personally, I think, are the Trainwrecks. I told David Beebe about those the other day. I think he's enjoying those as well. What am I doing? Beautiful Love. Yeah, so this, I wouldn't join my Patreon until May the 1st if you were considering doing it, because you'll get charged twice. So this is a soft sell. But the chord melodies for each of my jazz standards that I do every week will go up there. And what else am I saying? Yeah, the backing tracks, obviously, as well. But yeah, if you could like the video, that would help out, and then I'll just do that. Stuck on the vibe patch. Yeah. Band Commander. Which one's that? What's that based on? Right, so here's me trying to play Beautiful Love. See how I get on. Enough of that anyway. Right, so that's kind of my take on what's the tune? Beautiful Love, Victor Young tune. Now I've not soloed over it much yet, to be honest with you, but that's kind of how I would approach it. So Tiago has just asked, do I want to elaborate a bit on what I'm using or thinking to improvise? Scales, arpeggios following chord changes. Those are both things that I'm thinking of for sure. So I can just talk you through what I'd be thinking of for this. So a lot of my time spent learning this jazz stuff, I'll spend just learning the melody. So that's the most of what I spend doing with the jazz stuff. And then aside from that, when I'm soloing over it, the things that I'm thinking of are potentially, so thinking about the arpeggios is a good approach for sure. So, that first chord is an E minor 7 flat 5. And then the next chord is an A7. And then the next chord is a D minor 7. So for sure, things that I would practice might be things that went where I'm kind of outlining the arpeggios. Now you could do this in a strict way if you wanted to, so you could say, right, I'm going to go start from the root on every single one, and then carry on like that. Or you could do what I was doing there, where it's less of a strict approach, but for sure both things would be worth trying. You could try doing things in different kind of directions as well, so you could go... So you could be strict about this, or you could use something like solo to take you through it, the David Beebe, Tom Quayle thing for practicing exactly this sort of stuff. And I think all of that is really good stuff. The other thing you could do is think about where the scales homes are for all of this. So for instance, in my head, I'm kind of thinking, so this belongs to D minor, this belongs to D minor, this belongs to D minor, this belongs to F major, this belongs to F, D minor, and then when we get to this belongs to F melodic minor. So essentially all of this song is in D minor, except for that one chord, which... So that's how I would approach things with like the scale thinking. So I can just do like a little take through, and I'll try and kind of shout out the things that I'm thinking as I do each part. Hey Timothy, hope you're doing well. The back's feeling okay at the moment. So E minor 7 flat 5, A7, D minor, G minor, and then obviously the other thing that you probably want to be thinking about is just melody. So when you're actually doing the improvising stuff, I think the goal really is probably to think a little bit less than when you're practicing this stuff. But so consciously practicing arpeggios through a jazz tune is super worthwhile. And as I say, like assigning homes for each of the chords, you know, people might call that harmonic analysis. I kind of think about it as just knowing or working out where is home for everything. Obviously, there's lots of different approaches to that. But whilst I'm actually playing, I'm not necessarily thinking too much about anything, but you will see a lot of that kind of stuff where I'm kind of and yeah, you find lots of these different things to do. Oh, cool, Timothy. Nice one. I think there probably aren't many more than 3 songs on there anyway. But yeah, that's kind of my fun pop stuff. Yeah, so Tiago, I feel exactly the same as you. Yeah, John Harold says the goal of thinking is to become free of thought. So the goal of some of this practicing stuff, I think, is to put in place kind of like the rails that you're going to improvise on, or like the train tracks or something. You're like laying down knowledge. So, you know, if you know a few different places to play E minor 7 flat 5 or whatever, so this is something that I was messing around with earlier. The more places that you can find on the fretboard to play that E minor 7 flat 5, hey Jake, how you doing? The better off you're going to be when that chord crops up, whether it's written down or whether you're trying to memorize it like me. And then what other things I might do is if I've got that chord there which is throwing me off and I don't have something that I'm thinking of to play over that, or stuff that's oh, cheers Ivan. If I don't have ideas for anything to play over that, I don't think it certainly wouldn't hurt to write some stuff that would work over that particular passage. So I don't know, something like that maybe. Something that you know would work over that bit, so that each time that chord comes up, you at least have something to play. So that might be like an approach that you improvise your way through a tune, whatever that might be, a standard that you're working on or whatever. And when there's a chord which you don't necessarily have language or licks to play over it, you kind of write something for it. And I think that's a perfectly valid approach. And I also think it's something you hear Coltrane actually doing if you listen to enough kind of takes of stuff. I know David Beebe went through and listened to loads of stuff, loads of takes of John Coltrane, and noticed that he was repeating patterns throughout his improvisation. So it's not like a dirty secret or anything like that. It's just something that some people do. So, you know, if you've got that chord there which is unusual to you, it's a case of kind of writing some material that is going to get your ear used to playing over that particular piece of stuff. So in that case, what we're actually dealing with there is a B flat 7 sharp 11. Hey Dan, so for me personally, you hear every time that I practice or record a tune, essentially. I say not every time, but you know, when I'm downstairs practicing a tune, I'm obviously not recording that, but I guess I'm a bit of an unusual case because I'm uploading all the time. So you hear, you know, I don't know, I might have played this tune for about 3 hours this week, maybe. But you're hearing my kind of, that's the first time I've played it through with a backing track. Or that backing track. I did some with a bass the other day. So, you know, this to me is me practicing the tune, if you like. And for me, I'm recording a lot of the time anyway in front of a camera. So, yeah. Hey, Gaurav, hope you're well. I'm not actually playing the quad cortex at the moment. It's been a week where the Helix, the Kemper, and the Fractal stuff have all received a firmware update, so it's kind of been a busy week with everything else. Yeah, I don't know how everyone else feels about that. I feel like things have gone a little bit quiet on the quad cortex front. A little bit. I don't know, is that just me? If you haven't liked the video already, you could consider doing that. I've got the tone rolled off loads, Sam. So with the tone up, you'd be hearing. And I think I had it maybe further than that. Quite a way off anyway, yeah. So the thing for the jazz stuff is my tendency is to really like really rolled off tones. And that feels good to play, but when you hear it back kind of in a mix or whatever, it's a bit more muddy than you think when you've got like the acoustic sound of the guitar coming back to you. The pickups in this, I believe that's a Twisted Telly, a Broadcaster, and a Texas Special in the middle, I think. Did anyone watch the UFC fights last night? So here's another approach. You know, I was talking about that B flat 7 sharp 11 thing. So another thing you could do is kind of let's do something. You could just freeze that one chord, that one moment of the song that you might be struggling with, and that could become basically a moment of meditation or whatever you want to think about it as. It was a good UFC card. It's a shame to see what happened to Weidman. Weird. So, what have we got? We got that B flat major triad in there. We've got that C major triad in there. So, whenever I see a B flat 7 sharp 11, I know that I can play that. I don't have a favourite P90 pickup, sorry. We've got an augmented triad somewhere, haven't we? So this is something I used to do quite a lot with a freeze pedal as well, whilst I was trying to, well, I still have to, but get the sound of what the melodic minor thing is in my head. So it's just quite a good way, I think, to get used to a thing, whereas normally you might be seeing one altered chord and it might only last a bar, or it might last a bit of a bar. So it's kind of cool to actually spend some more time with these actual sounds. So a looper or a freeze pedal can really help with that. Hey, Mr. Drummer. I used to spend more time on the full arpeggio thing, where, like, you know, the big shapes where you end up with this. But actually, yeah, the smaller triads are potentially a little bit more useful. Lucas, I've never heard that tune, no. And I find that idea of just moving triads through a scale is actually a lot more powerful than any of the practice that I used to do with the big arpeggios. So things like this. Bollocks. That kind of thing is kind of difficult to do anyway, but harmonizing triads through a scale, it's easier for me in a major scale, but melodic minor scale is clearly something I need to practice more of. So now I've got that idea of what it feels to play like over that particular chord in my head, I could maybe go back into improvising over it and let's see what happens. Feel free to ask questions about anything else if you want. We don't have to talk about jazz. Here it is. Like that, right? Anytime you see a minor 4 chord down Zito, that is melodic minor harmony. So yeah, so Tiago says, for me the problem is how to connect the triads. Every time I try to use triads arpeggios, it sounds like an exercise and not a real melody. So I think some people speak a little bit, like some people say just focus only on chord tones, and I think that kind of doesn't really work all the time, if you get what I mean. So if, for instance, if you're thinking 1, 3, 5 over every chord, if you play the 5 or the 1 over a chord, it doesn't actually do too much harmony wise. So if I play, a D over a D minor, it doesn't necessarily say much. If I play an A over it, it doesn't, to me, say too much. Hey Jackie, or Jonathan, I think, right? I'm playing Beautiful Love, a Victor Young tune. Whereas if I play an E over that, which is obviously not a chord tone, it wants to move somewhere. Or if I play the third, that definitely feels stable and it says something about the chord underneath. But the 1 and the 5 are not really telling me a whole lot about the harmony. Does that make any sense? Or if I play this chord, again, not a chord tone, this is the 6 or the 7. And I think all of the notes that are not the chord tones actually can say an awful lot about melody or whatever. And just focusing on doesn't necessarily get you a whole lot of melody. Does that make any sense to anyone? Possibly not. Timothy, yeah, I'm well up for demoing any guitars. I don't charge money for it. Hopefully that makes sense to someone, but that's why I think the focusing on chord tones exclusively at the expense of like trying to play melody doesn't necessarily get you a whole lot of, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily, if I just play and you're also going to end up probably like me jumping between arpeggio shapes, and they don't necessarily connect in a hugely musical way. So the thing to try, I guess, if you're trying to connect triads, is to try going up one and down another. But then also consider about like the stepwise movement and stuff, like and playing the melody of the tune actually gets you quite a lot of ideas, I think, as well. So you could take just one small part of the tune. So that's going to be kind of our motif. It happens to be one of them anyway. So let's just try and do something thematically with that. So we take that idea. So this is not focusing on arpeggios or chord tones or anything. It's just the idea that I want to take the shape of that melody and try and reference that in other places to try and make something sort of sound like it's tied together in a way, I guess. So that's our starting point, that's our material for this. And it naturally does go up. battery. Hopefully that's working again now. It's not. Right, sorry about that. Run out of battery. So yeah, that would be sort of my approach to practicing some of this stuff, I think. Let's talk about anything else if you want. Probably go for another 20 minutes or so. If you haven't liked the video yet, you could consider doing so to make me feel better about the thing dropping out midway through, as always. Yeah, so Victor Young, Beautiful Love. The version that I was learning it from was, in fact, the Victor Young orchestra version. There's also a Bill Evans version that I listened to. Someone has recommended, Eric has recommended the Jim Hall version, so I'll check that out as well. I'm going to try and record my version at some point this evening, and I'll put that out as a chord melody for the patrons. But yeah, kind of a fun tune to play, and a bit of that minor harmony. Which is kind of fun to play. Oh, I listened to a Mike Marino version as well, which is also cool. Do you live broadcast at the same time every week? Almost every week it'll be at this time, yeah. Well, I say every week it will be at this time, roughly. It's every Sunday. I was doing more in the weekend stuff, but sitting down for a long time turns out it doesn't really work with my back very well. So any other questions about other stuff? We've got another, I don't know, 10-15 minutes if we want to. This is another thing that I would practice doing through the tune, sort of spread triady stuff, which I suck at for minor 7 flat 5, so that might be a good thing to start with. So what have we got? Oh, you've got the 1. So you could do that kind of thing, or you could do this, if I'm going to try this. So we're going to do 2 spread triads for each chord. Hey, did you check out any versions of The Nearness of You? In terms of good structured resources for learning jazz, to me, it seems a little bit at odds with what my perception of what the music is. But you've retracted the message, but I can talk about it still. Or do you want to rephrase it? Hey Jason, how you doing? Oh, you didn't like the movie? Now we go. So I was asked here, do I use fake books at all or by ear? So at the moment, for the stuff that I would do each week, absolutely I would do it all by ear. Unless there was like a specific moment I wanted to see what other people was going on in at that point. So, you know, for instance, like that footprints bit, which is a little bit weird, or, you know, things like that where there's like a bit of it's ambiguous what's happening, and I might see how someone else interpreted that. Or, you know, if I was actually on a gig and someone calls a tune and says, you know, this tune, the answer generally can't be no. You've just got to try and play the tune with them or accompany them. In that case, I'll be using sheets in that case, yeah. But for tunes like this, where I've practiced them throughout the week a little bit, I'll just listen to the tune that I want to learn it from. So this was Victor Young, and then that hopefully gets you most of the way to knowing the tune. Nat King Cole has amazing versions of almost everything. So that would be my approach. So this also kind of ties in with the question from Enrique about structured resources to learn jazz guitar. So I don't know necessarily that you need something like that. So so what I'm thinking is, hey S. Ryburn, hope you're doing okay. Doesn't sound amazing. Yeah, hopefully this will get better. But yeah, so I would say, if you're wanting to play jazz, start playing jazz. I've got books and stuff by Jody Fisher, and that's not a terrible way to go about stuff. But the things that made me feel like I was closer to playing jazz was actually just learning loads and loads of songs. So that's why I've been on this journey of learning a new song every week for 2 or 3 years now. And I think that to me is closer potentially to what the people that were playing jazz back in the day were doing, before schools and stuff were teaching jazz. I don't know. To me, it seems like there's plenty of room to learn jazz before you need to look at a book, probably. These were like the pop tunes of the time. Any good starting point songs backing on my Patreon for beginners to jazz? I think I did a video about songs that I would begin with jazz. Hold on, let me find it. That's a dog. That is a dog. That's a dog. So I've got this top tunes for jazz beginners. Serious questions are welcome. That's noisy dogs. So anyway, yeah, what gauge strings and picks do I use? I generally use Hawk picks, unless I'm scared of losing them, in which case D'Addario Black Ice are also good. I use 1.5 gauge of those. And strings are generally 10 or 11, or on a jazz guitar, probably a little bit heavier. But yeah, that's my advice anyway in terms of learning jazz. If you're interested in it and you're starting to listen to it, I would start just trying to learn tunes. And I think it's good to start with the sheet music and stuff, or the fake books, or whatever you want to call them, the real books. I think, yeah, everyone has to start certainly somewhere with that stuff. And I think the advice, not to use real books and stuff probably is further down the line than someone beginning with jazz, if you know what I mean, because you can listen to a jazz tune and it's not really clear what's going on. So I guess, are you ever going to pick out, some of the weird chords that are going on? If you're completely new to jazz and you've not, encountered something like this chord before, yeah, I don't know. I think you need to start somewhere, and there's no reason that shouldn't be with a real book. Hope your week's been good, Jason. Favourite Chet Baker tune is I Get Along Without You Very Well. If you're going to join the Patreon, don't do it until the start of May. There's just no point right now because they'll charge you again at the start of May. So just wait a week or whatever it is going to be. There's no reason to join until then. I try to tell people that so that you're not getting, charged £3 or whatever for 6 days. Doesn't make much sense. So just wait until the start of May, I would say. Show the bridge chords to nearness. Where are we at again? So do you remember what key I did it in? I think I might have done it in D. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, it's a goal to be able to pick these things out by ear. I don't think it's necessarily where you start off with. Right. So, the bridge, I'm taking that as an E minor, as a 2 to a 5. Then I chose that chord because that's like a version of a B7. And then to chord 4, to 3, to 6, then E minor, and again E minor. So this is back to the start of the bridge. A5 to D, and it's basically B7 to G, chord 4, to chord 3, F minor, to B7, E minor, to A again. Yeah, so that B7, there's this really cool voicing of a B7. This. And you can actually move that one around, and that's how I arrived here. Like that. So yeah, it's like a proper chewy sounding chord. So in the verse turnaround, yeah. So what was I doing? I think I went to then an F to a B flat. So I would treat those both as like Lydian, or maybe that one is a chord 1 to a chord 4. What gear have I got in the last month, Jason? I don't know. Maybe the HX Effects might be my favourite piece. The Quad Cortex I've obviously used a lot because it made sense to do lots of videos with it. If anyone's watching the video hasn't done the old liking and subscribing thing yet, you are very welcome to do so. Hopefully there's lots of stuff on the channel that people are vaguely interested in. Most of it's going to be playing guitar in it. So yeah, that's what I would be thinking of for those. Yeah, the red Strat is not a good one. I had to go find a new home. Right, so anything else that anyone wants to talk about? We'll give it another sort of 10 minutes if you want to talk about whatever. I've got to send a load of emails, apparently. I'll just send some emails while I wait for some questions to come through. Yeah, I hope everyone's weekend's going okay. I need to go for another walk in a sec. I'll be doing that. And then I'll come back and try and record this at some point. I've also been watching Lost with Liana. I think she's getting sick of it, but she doesn't have a choice. Don't know what I'm doing for a lick lesson tomorrow either. Anyone got any ideas? Right. Right. Enjoy your dinner, Sam. Cheers, Mr. Torito Naranja. Torito Naranja. Torito Naranja. Any questions about anything? Don't have to ask them. I guess I'll do one more little practice run through of the tune, and then have a break. Feel free to ask a question if you've got one. Yeah. Beautiful Love, Victor Young. Tommy, she's cool. He's got a tune called Movie, which is awesome. Yeah, I put together the backing tracks. It's quite a good way to also learn a tune because you're kind of playing the bass line as well. I use Reaper, and so the bass is actually just me playing and the bass is the guitar, but pitched down an octave, and then I use Native Instruments for the drums. But yeah, it's kind of really simple stuff, but I like to play with just a bass line and a kit, basically. And then I find that kind of tells you fairly well whether you're playing anything that kind of outlines the changes or not. Let's no, I've not really done any videos on the backing tracks. It's not really anything super impressive or anything. I'm literally just put in the drums and then put in a bass line. Maybe record like a version of the like a scratch track of the guitar. So there's nothing really complicated to it. It's relatively straightforward. Maybe I'll do a little bit of playing over something else, which isn't jazz. Thanks everyone for joining.
Here come the curtains. That's that backing track done.
Right, anyway, thank you everyone who's joined in today. I'm going to go for a walk and then come back at some point and try and record a version of Beautiful Love, which doesn't suck. That's the attempt or the goal. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for everyone who's left comments and stuff and helped make this thing happen. Oh, cheers. Mr. Torito Naranja. Are you from Brazil? I'm going to guess Brazil. Really appreciate everyone coming by and helping join in. Dorian plus Aeolian dominant. Right, hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Sunday. If you haven't liked and subscribed, that would be appreciated if you did. Thank you, Forrest, for staying through the whole thing. That's not necessarily what you needed to do, but hopefully there was something useful in there for a few people. As I say, I'll be putting the chord melody for this up on Patreon later, as well as the Torito Naranja. Makes sense to be Spanish as well, doesn't it? I guess should have gone with that one first. Thank you very much for the top chat, or whatever it's called, money. Yeah, and the backing track will go up there. But yeah, hopefully that's okay. And yeah, if you want to like and subscribe, you could, or just press like on the video as well. I guess that helps. Jonathan has noticed something around 25,000 subscribers. That's quite a cool number. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I'm hoping that I'm giving you a reason to watch at least one or two of my videos. Hopefully it's not complete bollocks. But yeah, there'll be a lick video tomorrow. I'm not sure what it'll be. I guess I'll have to think of something. If you've got any ideas, you could let me know. But I'll catch you in a little bit, and cheers.